My name is Nalini Nadkarni. I am a professor at the Evergreen State College where I teach forest ecology.
So Nalini, what do you think you may take away from this encounter with the mountain, with this recovering landscape that would be relevant to what you do?
Well, coming here, I tried to come here without expectations, without presuppositions in terms of what I would learn. And even with that effort, I have found that a whole different set of things have come out of this for me. One of them is understanding and accepting that this landscape really gets to people, and really in particular gets to me. I think because I study trees and I have a sense of warmth and respect for them, to see so many trees dead in so many ways was deeply troubling. And you know, when you're a scientist, you're supposed to sort of say, yep, well, that's 15,322 trees down. You know, we'll call it a day. But instead of calling it a day, it just, I don't know, maybe being in the presence of poets and philosophers who are so emotional, I guess, and so able to show their emotions allowed me, and I think others here, to both feel and express that. And so although I may not come out with new insights into science, I think I've gotten some new insights into reaction to landscapes.
Do you think this landscape and what's happened here can inform how we think about and treat other landscapes?
I think so. I think being here so intensely, sleeping here, eating here, being isolated from other people, other distractions, has allowed me to just to focus on it, to look at it intensely and to think about relating it to other places. I study the canopy, I study the plants that grow up there, and on a micro scale, I see disturbances all the time. You know, mats of mosses get kicked off, branches are bare. It takes a very long time for recovery of those. And so this is sort of that on a macro scale. And I don't know what the direct connections are in terms of learning about succession and here and relating it to branches, but just seeing the same processes going on at these immensely different scales, from, you know, hundreds of miles to very small bits of branch, I think is really interesting.
So you mentioned it was hard to see all these trees down, and as a canopy scientist, you probably specialize in the larger end of
That's right.
the spectrum. It's hard to climb it.
That's right. That's right.
Does it still break your heart, or do you see this as a hopeful place?
I do say, I think I mean, emotions are multifaceted, that although I understand, you know, that there is grief here, there is sadness, there is loss, I can also see the recovering, whether they're planted or not. I see recovering trees. I see that there were hummocks and protected areas that did sort of serve as sources for the next generation here. So I think there's plenty of hope, and I think that one of the ideas that I've come up with is that perhaps by taking images of Mount St. Helens, whether photographic or poetic or scientific, we might be able to bring those images to people who are going through some sort of recovery or some sort of disturbance in their lives, and to say, look, you know, even something like that, as huge and as seemingly destructive as that, after that first big bang, there really is hope for recovery. And I think humans need that. We need images, and that's why I think it's been so powerful it's been powerful for me to hear poetic images. I mean, I've always appreciated poetry, but to hear these words that the poets amongst us put together so artfully, so quickly, and so heartfeltly has been very, very striking to me. There's true power in that. I mean, I always think there's power in science. There's power in knowledge. There's power in graphs and tables. And I think there is. But the poetry, the ruminations, and the emotions are another kind of power. And I appreciate that.
Is there something in that fusion for your students, for this next generation?
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, I teach at the Evergreen State College, which is It's founded on the principles of interdisciplinarity, that we are always teaching with people outside our discipline, and recognizing that there is a strength in that. I mean, there's a danger in it also of sort of being shallow and not being one or the other, but I think that the different disciplines can enlighten each other and inform each other, and especially here where people have such deep respect for each other and each other's disciplines that, you know, the poets are listening to the scientists and the scientists are listening to the poets and philosophers. And so it's not a my science is better than your poetry at all. It's, you know, sit down with me and tell me about your science. Sit down with me and read me one of your poems. And it's very sweet and it's very powerful.